Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business, the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready? Welcome to Entrepreneur Encounter. We are super excited to have a guest with us today. We're going to explore soft skills for early stage entrepreneurs. I'm Dana, your host, and today we have a very special guest joining us, Evelyn. She is the co-founder of SAS Video Marketing. She is also the founder of Legacy Building Mama. That's how I actually discovered her. I was a guest on her podcast, so of course I had her come and talk to our amazing listeners. She is dedicated to empowering mamas to build their legacies amidst the joys and chaos of motherhood. So, Evelyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dana. I am so honored to be on your podcast. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So would you like to take a few moments to kind of introduce yourself and let us know who you are?
Absolutely. I am the co-founder, like Dana said, of SAS Video Marketing. It actually started off as a side hustle, establishing it with my husband while I was on maternity leave with my second daughter. The foundation of our business was actually built by investing straight away in a team and establishing strong systems and processes from the very beginning. So the reason why we did that in terms of the foundations is to allow our real values, which is freedom, and to be able to step away when needed. Having two small children, we want to always prioritize, I guess, our core value of family first. And on the journey that I've been going through, I am also very passionate about empowering other mamas as well. So that's why I actually launched the Legacy Building Mamas podcast and also my Facebook group community as I document our journey and I share invaluable insights on mindset strategies, visualization, and manifestation, which is, I guess, the powerful tools that have gotten me through the past, I would say, 18 months. And the good news is that I have been able to successfully transition myself from my corporate role at the perfect moment when our business hit a pivotal growth point. So my mission is to inspire others to dream big, chase your aspirations, and believe that with determination and the right support, anything is possible.
I love that. I want to talk about, because so many entrepreneurs, when they start, they're solopreneurs or they are balancing, like you are, that full-time job and building this business. And most take on the 5 to 10 or more hats that come with owning a business. That's the marketing, that's the admin, that's the research, that's content, that's everything. But you two started from the floor, like ground level of having a team, which I feel like is very different. I don't honestly think I hear that often. I know I didn't. I just barely hired a virtual assistant for my business last year, and I launched in 2020. So it took me 3 years to get comfortable and feel like, oh, I can do this. And I am a business manager. So I'm in the business of telling people to delegate. So what challenges did you face when you started with the mindset of immediately having a team? Can you walk us through that process or that mindset of, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to have someone else do this?
Absolutely. And that came by watching my husband. He's an entrepreneur. He's been doing this since we met. We've been together for 8 years now. So I've watched him start business after business after business. And what I noticed from him being a solopreneur was the hours that he was putting in. And I was just there on the sideline, just watching and observing and just seeing how much, like you said, multiple hats he was wearing. and how I was just like, how do you even do this? And why work long hours? We would travel and he would have his laptop. I remember the moment we went to El Salvador to visit my family, and this was before having kids. And he just couldn't enjoy his time. He was just constantly, I've got to log in and I've got to make sure that I've got to get this done and my clients is waiting. And it just wasn't an enjoyable holiday. So when we decided to have kids, I was like, I can't do this. Like, working 9 to 5. And for me, working 9 to 5 was easy. Like it was just get it done, get paid for it, over 6 figures. I was loving life. And when we decided to have kids, it was just a moment of, I can't have you not being around. So we actually pivoted. He decided before having our first daughter to stop that because I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with the fact that he was just never around. And if I was to have a baby with him, it just completely changed the perspective. So he decided to go back to corporate. I said, let's do it together. I'm happy because I'm very strategic in a sense that I was like, I think we could do this together. As a solopreneur, it's really hard. Like you're doing everything and you're managing it all. I said, let's just get us financially stable to have babies. And then let's revisit this when the time is right. Obviously, then COVID hit, right? And then he got the job, 9 to 5 corporate job. He was just doing it for the finances. And luckily, our first daughter was born through COVID. So we were working from home and he was there throughout the whole experience. And we realized that time is everything. It's so valuable. And just him being there while she was a newborn and changing nappies, he realized that that's what he wanted too. But he also wanted to be an entrepreneur and follow his dreams. So we had a lot of talks and we decided, how can we make these two things work? How can we have a business that's humming? And how can we also be there for our kids and not miss out on the valuable moments? So when I was on maternity leave, we decided to look at our foundation. So we started off with our values. What do we want out of life? We do a lot of visualization. So what would our 10 years look like? What do we want to do with our family? Do we want to travel? All that sort of stuff. And then we started to talk about what would our business look like and how can we scale that business and what do we need to do? So then we honed into his software development. He understands software. He understands selling. So he's in sales and marketing. So we came up with SAS Video Marketing. And for me, it was more about the operation. So I'm really good with strategic. So we defined our roles and responsibilities. I work in HR, so team management, recruitment. So between the two of us, we were like, how can we build this business? And for me, it's people. It's all about the people. How can we invest in people? How can we make a business that's scalable, that our product service offerings are more than what outsourcing a team could look like? So we took on a marketing crash course, and that's where we learned how to actually build this systems and processes and how to outsource and where to go to get the team, which is Upwork. We use Upwork or Fiverr. If anyone here is,
of course, that was going to be my question. Like, where did you find your team? So let me pause you on that one. So you started with Fiverr and Upwork. I'm intrigued from an HR standpoint. What were your green flags and red flags when you were looking for or at candidates from those platforms?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. For me, it was the skills. So it's the experience, the soft skills that they needed to have to deliver. So I created a spreadsheet based on all the skills that we needed to create, let's say, video production, right? Or a copywriter or an SEO specialist. So there's 3 different areas that we do. We do SEO first, so the research analysis. So what do we need? And I did a lot of research on what does it take to be an SEO expert. Then going to Upwork and having a look at their skills, then interviewing them. So I created an interview guide based on my experience as a recruiter to find out what their attitude was like. So asking them questions like, what would happen if we had an urgency? So all those behavioral questions about their attitude. So I did a full recruitment drive with our team. It was, do they have the experience? Can they be capable of the job that's required of them? But also, are they urgency driven? Because our clients, we want to turn that around as well. And look, it hasn't been easy because managing people's hard. It's so hard. It hasn't been easy. And we have had to, what's the saying? Hire slow and fire quickly. So we have had to do that. and we're still working around. We've got a couple of people that have been with us for over 3 months and they're gems, but also it is being adaptable to the fact that we are going to have to just find those people, and it takes a while, but be persistent with it and make sure that if someone just doesn't fit the criteria or doesn't sit well, to just let that go straight away and not waste too much time.
Ooh. So I've been saying for over a year, I need a me for me to do the things. So I didn't go through those platforms. I went through Facebook groups, but I hired, I want to say five or six people all at the same time. And by the end of the month, maybe 2 months, I had 2 left. And now I'm down to just 1.
Wow. Yeah. And funny you mentioned that.
Communication, if you listen to any episode in our podcast history, you will hear communication come up in just about every episode.
Yeah.
And if I ask you questions, and I understand time zones, but if I don't hear from you for like a day or 2, I'm going to start panicking, and then I'm going to feel like, well, I need to do it. So now we're potentially both doing the same project so that we can meet a deadline, because I don't want my clients to be upset. So that's usually my first fire quickly. If you don't talk to me, you're probably not talking to the client that I assigned you to. So I can't sleep if that's the case.
That is exactly right. I'm big on communication as well. And we're the same with our clients. I mean, if we can't deliver, we're constantly telling them it might take another couple of days. These are the reasons why it's so important. And we have had difficult situations just this week, actually, where one of our team members, the one that we rely on a lot, decided to just take 2 days of leave because something came up. So you can't help that. And he's been very reliable, but it just happened to be this week where we had to deliver 2 videos. So we had to let the client know. Yeah, we had to just let the client know. And look, and also going back to you saying Facebook groups. So that's another reason why I actually started my Facebook group community, because I wanted to also find out whether or not I could build those relationships, engage with people and find out what their strengths are, because there's so much to a business. You need email marketing, you need social media, and there's plenty of amazing mamas out there that do that. So I created this Facebook group to also identify whether or not anyone that is in my group can also help us out with our business, and then hire them and have that connection as well. I'm glad that you mentioned that, the Facebook group. This month, we hired one person from my Facebook group who's now doing our email marketing. So she's working on our website design. So we've decided to uphold our brand. So we've got clients, and now we're at that stage where, all right, we need a website. At the moment, we've been working with a landing page that's gotten us over 10 clients. But right now we want to grow. We want to scale that. And by scaling, we're now building that brand. So we need content writers who can work internally for us to build our website. So someone from our Facebook group is now working with us to build our content for our website. And during this week where we had a team member who couldn't deliver because he was on leave, I then posted on my Facebook group community saying, does anyone have experience in video production? And one of our mamas responded saying, my son does. So then I connected Adam, my husband, to her son, who's now going to be working for us too.
That's amazing.
Yes, so that's the reason as well why I decided to go with the Facebook group community and find good people that can also help us succeed, and we can help them as well, obviously support their services.
That's my dream. My son is 10, so he has a long way till he's a full-time working person. But he goes back and forth with the entrepreneur things he wants to do. And I'm like, I need you to get into video production because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I had bought him this. It's called YouTuber Kids. I bought him this course that he can like go through. It teaches some editing. It teaches them how to do certain things, how to be safe on the internet. It's coming from someone else. So I feel like he's more likely to listen than to what I have to say, being the mama bear. I'm like, I need you to go into this. Your dad is really techie. You have both parents with like the entrepreneur spirit. You have your dad with the tech. This is perfect avenue for you. So I'm trying to like really nurture that.
I love fire. That is so great. I love that idea.
I also love that you grew your business with just a landing page. I think as early stage entrepreneurs, we see all of the content creators. You have to have this and you have to have that. And like, that's overwhelming. And it's daunting when you may just be learning how to do these skills. So I have a friend from high school, his business, and it's like streetcars, racing, and like that scene. So not my niche whatsoever, but he built it with a Google business page. That's it. He built his landing page with Google Business. I've watched him through social media just go from 0 followers to he now has big partnerships where he's with these big car shows from one landing page. So it doesn't have to be this big 5-page everything. You literally just have to get started. And then when you get to a place like you are, or like I built my website myself with Squarespace. It wasn't until last year that I was like, okay, I'm in this growth. I want to elevate. I want to do things. So I did a lot of research on colors, like even just the colors I was using, the words, everything, and then had someone build my website. That was a whole learning experience. But I still was able to grow my business with something I made myself using a template. Yep. I mean, it was still time consuming. By no means am I saying it was super easy. I took time to like throw it together, but it was something I did. And I definitely don't know web design. I'm not tech savvy in the least bit. I do like strategy. So I use my skill set to beautify something as best I could.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's the main key thing. Like, to be honest, the reason why I decided not to go with a full website is because I had seen Adam do it so many times before. So he concentrated so much on building this beautiful website, and he spent 3 months on spending time that he wasn't getting the clients because he was too busy trying to beautify this website that got us not many clients. So I said to him, no, this time around, let's just do a landing page, because we learned about it in the crash course. I had never come across a landing page until we did the online crash course before we started. That was the strategic sort of part of me saying, we need to still figure out, once we get a client, how we're going to service them. How will it work? Because there was still a lot of blurred lines. And it's taken us this long to get to talking to clients. And that's another thing that I'd recommend for anyone that's thinking about whether or not to start up a website now or later on. Our experience was that we completely changed our service offering based on what our clients were saying. So our clients were saying, I need more of this. Do you do this? And then we'd sort of revert back and go, is it in scope? Is it out of scope? Can we put it in scope? Is it scalable? Those are the questions that we're asking. Then we ended up realizing that the main gap for our video marketing was the SEO part of it. So it was, I guess, understanding, doing market research. So now we've created that part of our start of the product offering because of that pain point. And that now it's completely changed the way that we then structure the business. So now we're at a comfortable place where our clients have re-signed. So we had them for 3 months and they've re-signed because of the return on investment. And now we want to invest in the website because now we've got it. I guess my advice to anyone here is, like, when you're starting out, don't stress too much about all that. If you can just create a landing page, start talking to people, start talking to your potential clients, get clients on board and see what they're saying about your product service offering. And if it changes, then that's where you can sort of hone in on creating this beautiful website.
I love that. So communication soft skill is one to learn.
Yes.
Hey there, listeners. Ever feel like you're struggling to connect with customers or lead your team effectively? That's where soft skills come in.
Entrepreneur Encounter isn't just another podcast. We're a community dedicated to helping early stage entrepreneurs like you master the soft skills that make or break a business.
Technical skills are important, but without communication, collaboration, and confidence, your business might never get off the ground to the next level.
In our membership, Dana and I share actionable insights and tips to help you nurture the soft skills you need to thrive.
Give you access to bonus content, workshops, and a network of like-minded entrepreneurs who are all on the same journey.
We'll teach you how to boost your confidence,
become a leader who inspires and motivates your team,
navigate conflict like a pro,
to resolve disagreements without drama and build stronger relationships,
communicate clearly and concisely, get your message across, build trust, and close the deal.
If you're ready to take your business to the next level, Join the circle by clicking the link in the show notes. What are some other essential soft skills that you believe early stage entrepreneurs need to cultivate in addition to being able to talk to customers?
I think authenticity would be one, and engagement. So for me, for both SAS Video Marketing and for Legacy Building Mamas, we have cultivated that authenticity and just caring about, to be honest. I mean, I know a lot of people care. I know that for sure, but it's the two-way communication. We're not here just to sell. We're actually caring and we're authentic about wanting to better other people, whether it be video marketing or for me, Legacy Building Mamas is that engagement and really the connection that I'm looking for. And the more I look at brand is a big thing now. I think people want that connection. People want the story. People want to know who is behind the brand. Who are they buying from? And I think that is one thing that I've learned in the past 12 months that is a real differentiator, I think, and empathy, empathizing with people, understanding their real pain points. And that comes with empathy, right? If you really empathize and go, oh, like that sounds terrible. Well, you know, this is the way. And sometimes even I hear Adam with SAS Video Marketing, they might not be the right client, but when we think about their pain points, it's like, who else do we know that might help them? And it's like, well, can we connect you with someone else? And that's the same thing with Legacy Building Mamas. When I hear about people's pain points, it's like, who can I connect you with? I think that's what we need more of when it comes to building a business.
I love that. So I've done an episode before on empathy and like really understanding, trying to encourage them to meet their goals. At the end of the day, I would love to work with everyone, but sometimes I'm not a good fit. Sometimes I don't fit someone's budget. And I have in a coffee chat, it was a potential client. She could not afford my services. And she seemed like she was ready to rush to get off the phone. And I think it was just because it's uncomfortable to say, I love your work, but I can't afford you. But I was like, tell me what your budget is. If it's something I feel like will only do 2 or 3 things, then I'll customize it for you. I have no problem doing that. And then once we get to a place where you can afford more, but her price point was still too low for me. I was very candid with her in a nice way, but I was like, the price that you need, you will not find someone in the States for that price. So I did recommend Fiverr and Upwork, but I also at the time had a virtual assistant based in the Philippines. I had obviously already vetted her. She's been with me for years. And I was like, I know your price point is more than what she asked for. So it would be great for her to have that. So you can essentially hire her outside of Dana's desk. So I essentially pitched her someone else during the call. I connected them via email and she ended up going with her and she had her for over a year until she grew. And then she came back and then hired me to do something different when her budget allowed. So
I love that story.
I have no problem telling someone, I can't help you. I can't be the solution for you, but I can help find another solution or resources to help you do the things. This is why I always joke with Sarah that I will remain a broke CEO because I like to give way more value than I usually get back in return.
It's so true.
But it's just who I am. Like, that's why we started this podcast. Me and Sarah both have been in various entrepreneur backgrounds, but I spent $12,000 on a course that ultimately I ended up not needing. I knew everything. I was duped, essentially. I'm still paying for that course, and it's very frustrating. So everything that we do provides more value, and we ask for very little, almost basically donation-based to help keep us running. Yeah, purely because we want to be that place, a community of you are in this very overwhelming space of launching a business and we want you to be successful. And we want what little bit of funding you do have needs to go to your marketing. It needs to go to your SEO. It needs to go to your social media graphics or whatever platforms that you need, like a CRM. We want you to learn from us and then we want you to go implement, grow type thing. So
I get that.
You have practical tips for our listeners on how to develop those specific skills that you mentioned.
So I would say active listening, which is something that I learned in my corporate job. In my corporate job, I learned that to really listen and talk less. The less you talk, the more you understand that other person. And it's something that I've been learning for a few years because when I was younger, I loved to talk and I used to get kicked out of class because I talked too much. Like I was the opposite, right? And so I had to really learn that skill, and it has actually worked more to my favor because since I sort of started to practice that active listening and just stopping and pausing and really thinking about what the other person, and I guess it comes down to understanding the other person's point of view more than your own. And then that then sort of leads to that empathy part, and also then leads to that connection because then you're asking those questions and probing. And so that's another thing that I learned from my corporate job. As a recruiter, you probe, right? Like you're probing questions. So if you're not really understanding something, if you're actively listening and not understanding the communication, as you say, right? The communication part. If you're not really understanding what this communication breakage, it's that probing questions. Okay, then now I'm not really understanding this. So let me understand, and having those questions, let me understand more about your problem. And I think asking those questions also then builds that relationship of you actually really care. You're actually really asking those questions, and you're finding out more about your audience and their pain points, which also benefits you as a business owner, because then you can then start to talk to them when you're posting on social media and you're now talking about their pain points. And so I think that for me would be the key difference, I think.
I like that. So that I could be more present, I am taking notes. Obviously, you can hear me probably clacking over here, but typically when I'm in a coffee chat, I use something, I think it's called Otter, and it's a note-taking app that takes them for me.
Yes.
So that I can focus more in the moment of what my potential clients are saying, or even current clients, because business is constantly shifting. The demands and things ebb and flow, especially in the wedding industry. So hearing their current pain points for this quarter helps me to build a better strategy on, okay, let's tweak our marketing. Let's tweak our content. Let's reach out to this type of vendor. I get that based off of the conversation in the moment, but then I rely on this note-taking app to make sure I don't miss anything, because some things will stick out, but then as I go back and review the notes, I'm like, oh, that's important too. Let me add that back in there. And then I present it in like my weekly follow-up with them so that they can review and make sure, maybe just to cover my tracks basically of, did I understand exactly what you're saying? And most of the time I do, but every once in a while, like, no, this isn't exactly what I meant. I'm actually focused more on whatever the task is. And so then we refine it. I love that. Talking less is also very hard.
It is.
Literally, it doesn't matter who sat beside me, I would talk to them. And my oldest son is the same. He's basically, every once in a while, the teachers have had to put him in like an island on his own because he will talk to everyone just like me.
It's funny that like it is really difficult, and it is a skill that can be learned. And I have learned that because of my corporate job, but I'm not the best when it comes to Adam, my partner. You just need to talk less because I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. And when it comes to arguments, I won't listen. He's like, where's your active listening skills that you've learned from? And he'll always bring it up. So I still haven't mastered it.
Oh, I think it is a continuous process. I don't think you ever like fully master something, because my husband, I'm a talker, but I'm also, we are going to talk about this. I don't want to just talk to you. Like when my husband and I are in arguments, I'm like, no, we need to figure this out. So let's ask questions. Let's take a breath. Let's do all the things. And he's like, I need a moment to process and then I can talk to you. And I'm like, no, I need to talk right now.
Yeah. It's so different when you're talking to your husband, isn't it?
I'll probably forget. And then when he brings it back up, it'll just be like a fresh wave again. And I'm like, I don't want to necessarily do that. So we are ebb and flow of figuring out when is the best time for our conflict resolution.
Yes.
When is it not?
Same.
You have mentioned a few times, which I fully love and support, but community support plays a significant role. It is no secret in an entrepreneur's journey. Like having those that are in the same spot as you, those that are farther ahead and understand where you're coming from, like that is using like the turning word, but that literally is a game changer in someone's business. I know it has been in mine. I've joked a few times, like my dad, honestly, my husband still doesn't fully understand what I do. Like I explain it to the best of my ability. And I'm just like, all you need to know, at least for my dad, is I'm making money to support my family. And I just have the luxury of doing it from home.
Yep.
The end.
Yep. That's it.
Within your group and within the community that you have built with Legacy Building Mamas, how do you foster community for other entrepreneurs?
But firstly, I'd love to talk about the reasons why community for me and why I built this initially was because, like you said, a lot of your friends, families are not on the same journey. They don't understand it. So I felt a misalignment there because I was like, I really am so excited about talking and all the things that I've learned. And I sort of started to sort of like bark up the wrong tree, if that makes sense. Like telling my friends about how I've learned this and I've learned that. And essentially, they weren't really interested. They weren't on the same path. So I kind of felt like I was that pushy salesperson that you should do this. And this is like, so then I realized, wait a minute, let me just take that back and go, my friends and family aren't necessarily on the same path or the same journey as me. And that's okay. Accept them for who they are, like talk to them, still catch up with them, but maybe let's not talk about business. I stopped talking about the business. But then I felt like something was missing for me because I'm like, who am I sharing this with? And how do I get the support? I've not known anyone who's done this before. So that's when I sort of went to the Facebook group community, which, mind you, I wasn't really big on social media beforehand, even in my personal life, not big on social media. I mean, when I was in my 20s, yeah, maybe when I was traveling the world and all that sort of stuff and sharing my passion for travel. However, so I started to then look on Facebook groups and all that, so joined the groups, and I just came to this new whole world, and I was looking at what they were doing, what they were posting, and I sort of created connections through there. And I was like, this is awesome. It's actually really nice talking to people about what they're doing, learning from them and how inspiring they are. And that's when I sort of started to realize I can take that control back and I can build it. I can build my own community and foster those relationships. So that's how I started to engage. And my main thing, I mean, it's taken me 6 months to have 100 people in my group. For me, it was never about the number. It was more about the engagement. So again, asking questions, probing more about their pain points, all that sort of stuff. So then that engagement is actually in the Facebook group because I've cared about who they actually are. And I really do, like genuinely do care about helping, supporting them. So if I find that they're a product business owner, and if it's a gift that I can get for one of my girls, I'll buy from them. Or if it's one of them in particular does Mexican cooking, I love Mexican food. So I've bought a few things from her, and she lives in Sydney. So she's delivered me a few jars of like marmalade. And so supporting them in a way that I'm like, yeah, well, I am going to buy this anyway. I might as well buy it from them. And also interconnection between the two of them. I've got a spreadsheet of what they do, what businesses they own, and then finding out whether or not I'm talking to someone that has a pain point in an area that someone else might know. So I connect them through messages and say, hey, this person's in the same area, maybe you should connect, and start to make that connection within the Facebook group communities. Sometimes even mentioning them in posts and saying, hey, I saw this amazing post on Instagram, check it out. This is about, I'm doing one about mum guilt. I also link into their Instagram, what they're doing and what amazing, let's support each other kind of thing. So a lot of different things that just sort of come up. Yeah.
I like that. I like that you have a spreadsheet of everyone. That seems like something, I'm a spreadsheet queen. So it seems like something I have to do. I love have one of all of our guests so that as I come across someone and they mention a certain thing like, oh, well, we actually had a guest on that talked about this.
Yes.
I would be happy to connect you with them.
Yes.
All their stuff is in the show notes, so I can easily grab it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's so important to do that. Like, you meet people and it's so important to just remember just the connection makes a difference. It really does.
I like that you also share their like social media posts within the group. I'm super excited. I'm going to go check that out when we're done recording.
Yeah, please do join.
So last question. I feel like I could talk to you so much longer, but we are almost at 40 minutes. But what advice would you give to new entrepreneurs who are seeking to find or build their own supportive community?
I would start with Facebook groups. Have a look at different Facebook groups that you can join. Have a look for their feel. And if you're interested in connecting with people and if you want to build your own community, for me, it was really about, it's almost like scouting your friends, really. Like if someone comments something that sort of resonates with me, I then look into their profile and I'll find out. And then I go into this like whole Instagram and find out a little, and I'm like, oh, I really like what they're doing. And then I comment and I engage. And one thing that I really learned about Facebook groups, if you're joining the Facebook groups for the first time, is that it's really important to comment as opposed to posting first. So you know how some people just join groups and all of a sudden you see a post, their first post is all about them and selling. Like, yes, you've got amazing to sell, right? Like you've got freebies and you've got this and you've got all of these things that you want to share with people, and that's all great. But learn to build that relationship first and then selling comes. Because if you just rock up to your Facebook group and think that people are going to engage with you if you're just making it about you and your freebie, I don't find that works really well. And what I see people do really well is engage first with people, build that relationship, and then see that you're adding that value to someone. So if someone posts, add that value, put in something that is valuable to that person, because that person's going to remember you. So when you post your freebie, these people that have received some valuable information from you will actually be more inclined to check out what you have to say.
Oh, I like it. I'm always curious to see like what groups other people are in, because I have a few and I go through moods like where I'm like, oh, this is like a lot of really engaging. But then it seems like a lot of the posts are salesy. And so I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to engage with this. So I'm constantly researching new groups, whether it's on LinkedIn or Facebook, to kind of still find my tribe. I feel like there's a few, like I met Sarah in a Facebook group. I don't, at this point, could tell you which one, but I know that's how I met her. We've never met in person.
That's amazing.
So we have built this relationship based on, it started with commenting on each other's stuff.
Yeah, and there you go.
Sent a friend request. So then we were commenting on each other's stuff in the personal group. And then I was like, we should just grab coffee virtually. And so every few months, that's what we were doing, is chit-chatting for 20 minutes. Because I was working a full-time job. So it would be on my lunch break. I'm like, hey, let's chat. And that's where she mentioned the podcast. So you just never know. But we took time to build that relationship first. It wasn't, hey, you should do this, or this is what I offer, or blah, 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 blah. It took probably a year of us going back and forth with each other. And then the podcast idea came together. And that took like 6 months of going back and forth. And then we were finally like, let's just launch.
Let's
just do it. We've talked about it enough. It was like January 23rd of 2023. And then we were like, that's the day of our episode. Because both of us that were nervous, I was like, we just have to have a due date. We have to have a due date. That's our deadline. We have to get it done. So and the rest is kind of history.
Cool. You build lifelong friends. I've got my bestie in the group and she is just like my best friend. We send each other voice messages and we've always joked about doing a podcast together. And that's probably something that we'll do as well later on. Anyway, so there's so many things to do, right? But it's just a lot of fun connecting with people that are like-minded. And for me, building that Facebook group community was never about the sales. It was literally about the genuine connection. However, in saying that, I do want to start an online course. And again, based on helping people. And it would be more so around helping corporate mamas get out of corporate. And essentially, my Facebook group probably aren't my target audience, but what works well is creating that email marketing list with the freebies outside of that. So I'm not going to be bombarding my Facebook group on, hey, sell, because I know that they're not in there for that. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure. I don't have a plan yet, but I'm not sure what I'll do when I do have that online course, whether or not I will be even selling it to my Facebook group. I'm not sure.
Well, definitely stay tuned to that.
Yes, I'll let you know
email marketing is something we're now like diving into to be a little bit better and like actively growing our lists and everything. That itself was a learning curve. So I honestly want to probably ask you who your email marketer is so I can
oh, absolutely. let me know when you're ready. Yes, she's amazing.
So thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing your insights and your experiences with us today. Before we wrap up, do you have any like final words of wisdom, and where can our listeners find you?
Perfect. So my words of wisdom would be, I know that things can get hard, but for me, it is the understanding that you are capable. So I always end my podcast with you are enough and you are capable and you are the driver of your own success. As long as you've got the right determination and mindset, you can make anything happen. So if you're finding things hard and you're feeling stuck, just keep going, just keep showing up. Things will work out for you. That's my words of wisdom. But where can you find me? You can find me on Instagram, legacy_building_mamas, or you can find me on the Facebook group. So I'll send the link to Dana so you can connect with me on my Facebook group, or you can connect with me with my blogs as well. I've got blogs, so I'll send you the website if you prefer reading blogs, but I've also got my podcast as well. So I'll send you the link to the podcast.
Yes, Sarah does the blogs. I do the listings.
Well, some people prefer to read as opposed to listen, right? So it's important to have both.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Evelyn. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to another Entrepreneur Encounter episode. Remember, the entrepreneur journey is filled with opportunities for growth and success. Until next time, bye.
Thanks, Dana. Bye.